welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know that I have been gone for the longest of time, but trust me, it was not good, so I really needed to take care of myself. But now I am back, and hopefully I am back to stay and be consistent. But I'm not gonna keep it in the words and be like, oh guys, I'm gonna be consistent. We're gonna see it in my actions if it actually happens or it doesn't. But anyways, today's topic is actually quite exciting for me because it is actually something that I have had to implement in my life. I am still implementing and I am still learning it. So it's going to be quite interesting, and you guys can leave comments and you guys can tell me what you guys think about this topic and your guys' takes. So what is the topic? The topic for today is boundaries. Yep, it's boundaries. There are people who have really great boundaries, but I think a majority of us can agree with the fact that when it comes to boundaries, it's really hard. It's really tough to implement those boundaries, especially with people that you love and that you care about and that are very close to your heart. So I am currently having tea. I'm having ginger root tea, and then I put half a teaspoon of garlic and half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper and a teaspoon of honey, and then it's the actual ginger root tea from Woolies. And yeah, so this is what I drink on a daily basis. I drink also other different types of tea, but I always just add cayenne pepper, garlic, whatever, because it's that season. So yeah, keeping safe, keeping healthy. I hope you guys are also keeping healthy with everything going on, washing your hands, you know, taking care of yourself, not going out if there's no need to go out, and protecting your loved ones. But yeah, so let's just go into it. I'm gonna get into the topic. If I cough, guys, just know that it might be the cayenne pepper. It's not really me coughing, but the cayenne pepper really just gets to my nose. I have sinuses, so it does make me sneeze and cough a lot. Okay, yeah, it's not that bad. So the topic for today is boundaries. So what are boundaries, first and foremost? Boundaries are basically the limits that we as individuals put for ourselves. So it's things that you say that yes, this thing I will do, and no, this thing I won't do. So basically, in a nutshell, that is what boundaries are. Now, the issue with boundaries comes in is that most of the time, we don't even know what our own boundaries are. So we don't realize when someone is impeding or, in simpler English, is overstepping those boundaries, right? Because we haven't set those boundaries with ourselves. We haven't sat down and discussed what are my boundaries. So you'll really find that you realize that you either have boundaries that are too stern, or you might not have boundaries at the point in time when you are in conflict with someone, and then you realize, hey, but you've overstepped this boundary, or I've overstepped that boundary because I did X, Y, and Z to that person. And then that's when you realize boundaries. We usually only realize boundaries and we start speaking about boundaries at a point of conflict, which that doesn't have to be the case, you know, because boundaries are supposed to be something that we are supposed to know from the get-go. It shouldn't be something that's taboo, but unfortunately we have made it seem very taboo, or something that we only speak about when things are tough and rough and we are huffing and puffing and we are not happy. So basically, the first thing you need to know or realize about boundaries is that you either will be on two sides of the spectrum. You are either a person without boundaries, or your boundaries are constantly being overstepped because you are an individual who is like an empath. So you are constantly thinking about other people and about their emotions and how they will feel and receive stuff. So you basically are taking responsibility for their actions and for their feelings and how they will receive something. So you try and protect them, which is why you would rather your boundaries be overstepped and you're uncomfortable than making someone else uncomfortable. Or you can be a person who wants other people to feel empathetic towards you, and you want them to feel some type of way, to take into consideration your feelings, your emotions, how you'll feel about something. They mustn't hurt you, they must walk on eggshells around you. So you can also be that kind of a person, which is like, on the opposite spectrum of a person that would be an empath, you would rather, I'm not sure what the word would be, but you would rather, people really take into consideration how they step around you, basically. So obviously, given the fact that you're this kind of person, that is where that's how your boundaries will be. You will either have your boundaries you would rather have limitations on your boundaries or not have boundaries, because you're constantly thinking about other people, but you are unhappy yourself, right? So basically, to see if you have had any, boundaries or anything's overstepped, I'm gonna ask a few questions, and then you guys can just, comment below if yebo, this is you, or nope, this isn't you, which would be good, right? So, have you ever said yes, to doing something that you really don't want to do, but you say yes anyway because you either feel obligated because of your relationship towards the person, or because you might feel bad? Have you ever? I'm gonna raise my hand because I definitely have. And then the second question that I have to ask you is, raise your hand, comment below if you have ever sacrificed yourself to keep the peace in a situation in order to make other people happy, or to make other people feel understood, even though you know about, hey, son, I've tried to be a peacemaker where I'm just like, you know what, I'm not happy with this decision, but for the sake of peace, that's me. I raise my hand. This is like an AA meeting for people without boundaries, or people with boundaries that are not stable. So the reason why I was asking you those questions was because if you have answered yes to one or to two of those questions, then sweetie, you need to work on your boundaries. Because why are you saying yes to doing something that you don't want to do? You shouldn't feel like that. You shouldn't feel obligated to do stuff that you don't want to do. So we are going to first get into the whole chat about boundaries, and how, as a person without boundaries, why it's very dangerous for you not to have boundaries. So let's start there. It's dangerous for you to not have boundaries because you're constantly going to be unhappy in the relationships, that this is romantic, friendship, family, whatsoever, that you find yourself in, because you don't have any boundaries. So people are constantly going to be stepping on your toes, or you're constantly going to be keeping quiet where you should be speaking, because things are being done to you or around you that you don't really like, or that make you feel uncomfortable. So you really are not protecting your space. You're existing in an energy that is not true, and you're also not being true to yourself. And if you're a person who deems themselves a communicator, and a good communicator at that, then you're actually not communicating well. You're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing the people around you a disservice, because they actually are not experiencing you to your maximum capacity and to your real capacity as well. And also you are going to hold back. You're not going to fully be yourself in those relationships, and you constantly are going to find yourself in conflict with people, because some people are going to be takers. They're going to take and take from you, and you're going to find yourself being a depleted cup, because you're not filling into yourself, and no one can help you fill into yourself besides yourself. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna find yourself being an empty cup, because people know she doesn't have boundaries. I'm gonna ask her to go and do this, to go and get that, Mihlalixo's gonna do it. I'm gonna ask her for money, Mihlalixo's gonna give it to me. I'm gonna ask her for this, Mihlalixo's gonna whatever. So they know that you're always done, you're always game, you're always going to participate in whatever ask that they have. So they're gonna take. If it's a person who has a personality that has a take, and that takes, they're going to do that. And you'll find that people who, remember I spoke about the two different types of people, the empaths and the people that aren't empaths, who are basically like the opposites of empaths. Those two people always find each other. They always will find each other. So the one will be the empath, who will be like, okay, I'm going to act in this regard because I'm thinking of this person, and that one will be like, please think of me in this regard. So let me make an example of that. Let's say I'm in a relationship and I'm an empath, right? So I will think about you and your feelings and your emotions and how something makes you feel. and let's say I'm with someone and my partner doesn't like me going out without them because whatever, they have an excuse like, babe, I don't like you going out without me because it makes me feel this kind of way. I would really like, I feel lonely when you're not here. I want you here, and I don't trust guys around you, whatever have you. Like they lay a story and you're just like, like sounds like a new problem, but you're going to be an empath and you're going to be like, okay, I get it, I understand. So then you go into becoming this person this partner who's constantly with their partner because they know that their partner doesn't want them around, going out, doing X, Y, and Z, even though you know that you want to from time to time hang out with your friends, but you know that your partner is going to make some snide comment, they're not going to feel nice, they're not going to feel good, so you compromise that part of yourself and you end up giving in to being this partner that sits with their partner, even though that is something that you don't want for yourself. So basically, you see how boundaries can, even out of love, you'll do something as an empath out of love, but at the same time you are still denying yourself something. You're not pouring love into yourself. Your yes and no compass is being clouded because things are yes and no. You're either going to be like, yes, I will do this, or no, I won't do this. And no is a full sentence. You don't need to explain yourself any further than a no. So basically, after like just painting this picture for you guys as to, how boundaries work and how boundaries can be compromised, how can we start that journey as people without boundaries to becoming people that do have boundaries? Like, where do you begin? And the first point that you need to begin at is you need to be self-aware. You need to be aware of your boundaries. You need to sit down with yourself and you need to understand yourself. What are my values? What are my beliefs? What do I want? What are my needs? And you just need to understand that for yourself in a general sense, and also in friendships, and also in relationships with your family. Like, what do I need from my mom? What do I need from my parents? What do I need from my friends? How do I want to be a friend to them? How do they want to be a friend to me? Like, how will I feel loved? Like things that you need from the relationships that you have. You need to identify that for yourself. And you can't identify it when you're in conflict or whatever the case. Sometimes you just need to sit down and be like, this is what friendship for me looks like. This is what a healthy relationship for me looks like, and be like, this is how I want to be treated in my relationship. This is how I would like to be treated in my friendship. I don't want it to be one-sided. I can't be the only one picking up the phone, and calling my friend. I want them to also call me, and that is my boundary, that let it be a two-way street. I'm not saying let's call each other every day. No, every once in a while when we remember, that's okay. Like it's completely okay because life happens and people get busy, but it's something that I would like. I don't want to exist in a friendship where it's me alone. This person is only contacting me when they want something, when they want money, when they want me to go and attend their shows, when they want me to retweet their YouTube stuff, but they're never coming to the party when it comes to anything in relation to me. So you basically need to be aware of what are your boundaries and what do they look like. Once you're aware of your boundaries, you need to communicate and express those boundaries. You need to communicate with your loved ones, you need to communicate with your family, you need to communicate with your friends that these are my boundaries. This, like you guys usually, maybe you are the family member, this will probably speak to like adults or even black tax, like young people. You start working, you're doing finance, you're a pharmacist, you're a doctor. So by virtue of you being all of these things, people assume that you have money, right? So now everyone also so everyone is gonna, in translation, everyone is gonna have problems, but then the problems are money problems and they're going to make them your problems. Hi Kaz, hi Mdanam, like XYZ, like they lay their story, and you're gonna feel a very big obligation, to help out, even though that you're pressed and you had your own stuff that you wanted to do, but you're going to, your old self used to put aside what you needed to do. You need to buy furniture for your place and you need to buy this and that, and you give it up, for the people that you love. And at this point in time, if you are that person, at this point in time, after you've done your self-awareness and you're aware and you understand yourself, this is the point in time, you don't wait until that call happens. You sit down, your friends, your family, your loved ones, your partner, and you have like, obviously you're not going to sit them all down at once, like each relationship is different and unique, and you're going to be like, look, friend, these are my boundaries, and will it me mine, like I don't borrow money, like don't borrow money from me, I don't do this, like don't, like if I say I don't want to go out, then I don't want to go out, like please stop forcing me, or guilt tripping me into going out. Like, I don't like it when you do that, you know. You make this joke, and I know it's just a joke, but I don't like it. Can you guys stop making that joke? It makes me so uncomfortable. You know, as much as like I say I'm okay with it, but I really am not. I'm not okay with it, you know. And expressing yourself like respectfully, in a kind manner, and being like, you know, these are my boundaries, and friend, what are your boundaries? Or to your partner, you know, I understand that you don't like me going out, but at the same time, I need to have my own identity outside of this relationship. So we can't just be tied at the hip, you know. I want to be with my friends, and I can't be with my friends and you're there, because they can't discuss stuff, you know, because you're around, you know. And at the end of the day, they're not obligated to speak about their personal issues with you. I am their friend, you're not their friend. So I would like it if sometimes when I do go out with my friends, that I do go out alone, you know. And so you communicate this stuff, and you set your boundary. So obviously when this happens, the other person will obviously have their views. Their views might be similar to yours, they might be different to yours. So it's going to allow that discourse. So you're going to lay about, okay, fine, these are my boundaries, they lay their boundaries, and then when you find that there are no synergies, that's when you guys are going to have to try and reach a compromise. A compromise being something that is going to make both parties comfortable. A compromise is not one-sided. A compromise is mutual benefit, mutual understanding for both parties. It's not one-sided. And for me, my biggest rule of thumb when it comes to compromise, and this is in any relationship, if in a different friendship, or if in a different relationship, or if in a different situation, I would not tolerate this at all, I would be like, nope, I've had this before, so then then that's not something you compromise on. Like, that's not a compromise. You would not tolerate it. If in another relationship, given the same circumstances, you wouldn't tolerate it, then don't tolerate it now. That's not compromising. You're not compromising. Compromising is compromising on something where now you would compromise on it, and again in a different situation you would be understanding, and you would be able to compromise on that thing, and you would still feel comfortable. You know, you'd still feel okay. You know, you would be happy with the decision that you've made. You would be happy with your compromise. You know, it would leave you feeling okay. Now, something that I need to I always call myself out on this, I still call myself out on this, is that when we make new friends, right? Or even if we don't make new friends, even with our friends, you realize that we started being friends and we never actually laid out our boundaries with our friends. Like I was never like to Lukhanyo, hey, Lukhanyo, these are my boundaries. Lukhanyo, like, Mihlali, these are my boundaries. We kind of obviously have been friends for years, so we were able to understand and learn each other for the longest of time, but we never actually sat down with a lot of my friends, Luto, Pinky, all of them. We've never actually really sat down and said, you know, friend, these are my boundaries. Like, these are my boundaries. And I think we need to get to a stage as people where we normalize, even if you missed it out in the beginning of your friendship, but even now, like, you know, to go back to the drawing board and be like, friend, what are your boundaries? At it. And you're like, oh, okay, well, these are my boundaries, you know, and then you see, you know, like, you guys just understand and just being aware and just knowing the boundaries of the people around you, because we always only start knowing the boundaries of the people around us when those people have been violated, where those boundaries have been violated. And sometimes it's just good to be aware so that you actually don't even step on those boundaries, you know, from the get-go. Even with your partner, like, normalize having a conversation at the get-go, at the beginning of the relationship. What are the boundaries of the relationship? How do we interact on social media? How do we interact in social settings? Like, what are our boundaries? Like, normalize having those conversations with your parents. You know, normalize with your, like, mom, you know, like, X, Y, and Z, you know. And obviously some of those relationships are very difficult because older people can, you know, be in a space of their own and they don't understand, like, you know, communication in the way that we get it. They might have had parents that, you know, just did not communicate with them, which they also then are going to just, you know, reflect the same energy towards you. And obviously that's just something else, and something I can, like, explain as to how to navigate that in another video. but there's definitely are ways to have your boundaries respected, even in spaces where it seems very difficult and these people are like permanently in your life. And then one thing you need to know is that you're not responsible for other people's feelings. So you are not responsible for other people's feelings. So if other people are going to be hurt by you saying, no, you can't do this, I can't come, I can't do that, I can't borrow you this money, then they're going to be hurt. Like, it's okay. But if you're doing what you like, if you can't do it, you can't do it, and that's okay. Like, that is completely okay. And it's not your responsibility how they receive it, that's on them. Like, obviously, you're gonna say no in a respectful and a kind manner. You're not gonna be rude about it. Like, when you are expressing your boundaries, you don't have to be mean, etc. Just be like, friend, I hear you out and I understand your situation, and it's a very awful situation to be in, but I'm not going to be able to help you out here. And you also need to know that no is a full sentence. For the longest of time, as people, we've always tried to want to say no and want to have an excuse, and you have to make sure that the excuse is good enough, but sometimes you really don't have to. So I recently, I'm an entrepreneur as well. Currently not doing anything entrepreneurial, but I have been in that role, let me put it like that. And I noticed, like, from interacting with males and also just being interacting with people in corporate, I don't remember who I had this conversation with. It could have been a mentor, I'm not sure. And they were like, as women, when we can't make something, we can't attend something that is that it has to do with the business or whatever the case is, we want to be like, I can't come because, and then you have an excuse. And sometimes that is where you will start getting disrespected. Whereas with men, they will get an invite and they will be like, I'm sorry, I can't come. And leave it at that. No, I can't accept this invitation. Leave it like that. Men will keep it moving, unapologetically so. But with us, it's like, no, I can't. I'm going to be babysitting the baby. I'm going to be whatever. No. You can just say, thank you for the invitation, but I will not be able to take on this opportunity. Thank you for this invitation, but I will not be able to engage in a meeting outside of my working hours. Whenever you say no, and keep it at that, and like, no is a full sentence, like in any setting. So that is just something that you really need to just consider as well, as you go on this journey. And another thing that you definitely need to consider is that you need to stop trying to have peace everywhere. Stop trying to be a peacemaker. So sometimes it's okay to be in a situation of conflict. There's not always going to be peace. There's not always going to be people that are going to like you. Not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone should like you. And that's okay. You shouldn't be touched by that. That is completely fine. People don't have to like you, and that is 110% okay. You don't have to be the one that's always constantly keeping the peace. If things have to burn down, then let things burn down in order for you guys to reach an understanding and a consensus. Because at the point in time when you're trying to be a peacemaker, you sometimes impede on your own boundaries, and you overstep, or you let your boundaries be overstepped. Sometimes let it be, kuze kube right, and you need to understand that. And you need to understand that there's going to be points of conflict. You can't avoid conflict. Conflict can be healthy. What's just really important is how the conflict is dealt with and how you guys engage with each other. Don't swear at each other, be nice to each other, but understand that sometimes you need to go into those periods. You don't have to avoid them. Avoiding them won't manifest anything good. It's really important that you guys go through that hell, because once you guys come out, then you will come out stronger, and it's completely okay. You don't have to always be the one to try and initiate peace. And lastly, I think it's just loving yourself and putting yourself first, and understanding that when you start this journey, it's not going to be easy. Because technically, if you are a person who has their boundaries overstepped because you're an empath, you obviously are going to care about what the people that know you are going to say about the person that you're becoming, because obviously you're going to become a very different person. You're no longer going to be that person that everyone can step over their head. You're going to be a person with boundaries, and people that are very close to you are going to say the meanest of stuff to you. Some of them saying it without even understanding your journey, what you've been through, what you're trying to work on. They're going to be like, they want this and this to happen, and you're like, no. And they're going to be like, you're becoming someone that I don't recognize. And you're going to be so touched. They're gonna say things like you're being influenced by other people or whatever the case is. And you're gonna have to take that. You're gonna have to take it because some people will not understand your journey. But also, which is why it goes back to the very first point that I said, second point, after being self-aware, communicate your boundaries. After communicating your boundaries, if people are still like this and they're like, you're different, I don't recognize you, after expressing the journey that you're on and expressing what your boundaries are, then you know who's in your corner and who's not in your corner. And I don't think I have to say anything more than that thing. Like it's going to be very clear, because people who love you, who care about you, who are supportive of you, will be supportive of you when they realize that you're embarking on a journey of being a person with boundaries, and they will respect your boundaries. And you will realize that a lot of people are actually prepared to respect your boundaries, understand you and your boundaries, and you don't have to be this person who's a people pleaser 24/7. And people who are not willing to understand that, well, sweetie, God is just making it easy for you to evacuate the nonsense. So basically that is that on boundaries. I hope you guys learned something. I actually also learned something as I was, explaining it to you guys. Comment below about situations where your boundaries have been overstepped, where you overstepped other people's boundaries. And I think to just close off, you need to remember that we're working on ourselves and to respect our boundaries, but when someone else also communicates their boundaries and they're like, Mihlali, I don't want you to do X, Y, and Z, Mihlali, I don't like when you do whatever, respect that. It's not up for negotiation. People's boundaries are not up for negotiation. Some of them are solid, unless obviously you guys can compromise and you guys can negotiate, then do that. But you also need to understand that you shouldn't be trying to fulfill yourself only. That when other people also express their boundaries, take it, respect them, and go with that. And trust me, I really hope that your relationships will become a lot more better, and you'll be able to find the dimes and the gems in your life, and you really will have better communication, because I think effective communication will start at understanding each other and understanding each other's boundaries, because you know how you guys think, and you know what is going to make this person comfortable and uncomfortable and so on. So that is all from me today. Please comment below and please share this video, and most importantly, please subscribe to my channel. And thank you guys so much for the support this far. I really appreciate it and I don't take it for granted. And may you guys have a blessed day. Bye.